Welcome back. Now, the late President Mwai Kibaki is credited with turning around the Kenyan economy, which had faced years of stagnation.
Now, when he took over from the late President Daniel Arap Moi, the economy had expanded by 0.6% in the year 2002.
During his swearing-in, Kibaki vowed to revive economic growth through increased investment in infrastructure and agriculture and reforming the country's investment environment.
And by the time Kibaki handed over the rein of leadership to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the national budget had grown to, listen to this, to 1.2 trillion shillings, up from 321 billion shillings in 2002.
Regina Manyara traces Kibaki's economic model and fiscal planning. Take a look.
Mwai Kibaki naapa kwamba.
When former President Mwai Kibaki was sworn in December 2002, the Kenyan economy was facing major challenges characterized by slow GDP growth of less than 1%, revenue collection of lower than 200 billion shillings, poor infrastructure, and poor investment climate. During his swearing-in, Kibaki singled out poverty and food security, unemployment, deterioration of the education sector, lack of access to basic and affordable health services, as well as a constitutional review as some of his immediate assignments.
Fellow Kenyans, let us all rededicate ourselves to fulfilling the dream of our founding fathers. Indeed, may the new constitutional dispensation be our shield and defender as we strive to conquer poverty, disease, and ignorance.
This was powered by increased government expenditure, doubling in Kibaki's first term in office to hit 700 billion shillings in the 2007-2008 financial year, to 1.2 trillion shillings by the time he was leaving office in 2013.
The launch of this program marks an important milestone in my government's efforts to secure a bright future for the children and youth of Kenya.
Free primary education was Kibaki's election promise in 2002, and he delivered, with about 150,000 children returning to school in January 2003. In his last budget of 2013-2014, 288.5 billion shillings was set aside for roads, expanding generation capacity and access to electricity, modern national ICT infrastructure, and expansion of ports and rail facilities.
When we took over, our budget was less than 180 billion Kenya shillings. We are not talking of 1.4 trillion. Trillion, if you ask to count 1, 2, 3 trillion, you take 1,000 years, is what I'm told.
Termed as an astute economist, under Kibaki's rule, the economy experienced steady growth, where GDP growth was, in 2011, 4.4%, with income tax collection having more than quadrupled to 160 billion shillings. However, during his tenure, government's expenditure outpaced revenue collection.
We will not tolerate those who have no respect for human life or private property. Moreover, our country believes in the rule of law, and therefore those who are victims of violence should not take the law into their own hands, but should report the perpetrators to the law enforcement authorities.
The late former President Mwai Kibaki will be remembered for many things, among them steering the country's economy amid the meltdown in 2008-2009 due to the effects of the post-election violence and the inauguration of the new constitution that introduced the devolved system of governance.
Katiba hii tumekuwa tukipigania for 20 years, miaka 20.
Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.